Welcome all to the weekly outlook. Boone here from EWPRO. Getting straight into it onto the DXY on the daily. So we got that 5 down with bullish divergence. Looking at this A, B, C. We want to try and get it up to this 38.2 retracement and possibly up to this 50 fib. We haven't got up to this 38.2 yet. But like I've been saying, this C wave, this C up has already broken above that wave A, so this can end at any time. When we go down to the H4, we had the 5 up. Had the 5 up in here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're looking at this A, B, C in here for more upside to go and break this top. Well, to go and break this top here, at least break this top here, and possibly go up to that 123. Well, the 38.2. Sorry. If we go down to the H1. Got this trend line break. The thing I didn't like about it last week was, like I said, we never had any bullish divergence. So we got a WX. We got the wave Y up. You really have to wait for X2 now and then look for that Z up. So I can actually put that on here. That's only, you don't want to be buying up here, more than likely we'll get a correction. Wherever this wave Y ends, we'll get a correction with possibly bull hidden divergence, because we had a lot of divergence in there, bullish divergence in here. So more than likely we'll may get a bit more upside in wave Y. Then we'll get that X2 giving us possible bull hidden, and then we'll get that Z up. Looking at AU on the daily, nothing's changed on the daily. We've got this WXY. Now, we don't know this wave Y, like I've been saying, it may not be over, and we can get down to this 161.8 retrace extension of this. This is looking very corrective in. So when we go down to the H4, I sort of changed my count here. I was a little bit suspicious of it, as you'll see, but we're looking at that WXY, X2, and then the Z down. This Z down, like I said, at the time, this broke through all the targets. I'm looking at this as internal in here, like just an A, B, C in wave Y now. So I'm just looking at it as like WXY, X2, and then a Z down. The reason for that is this correction here is looking very similar to this correction here. This correction here wasn't as large as this one. It was too small. So I am looking at that as internal now. And because this is looking so corrective in here, I'm looking for more downside. If this was the end of wave Z here, this should have broken out and then given us that bullish setup to trade. It never done that. Instead, we got all this correction. Like I said last week, this is looking very corrective. So yeah, I think really need to look for that Z down. It's not really large enough yet either, because I am looking for a correction a similar size to this over here. But then when we have a look on the H1, this can be over. Look, on the H1, I was looking at that like W, X, Y, X2, and even this one I said, it's a little bit large, but it's still okay to get that Z down. It never went. It never went and broke that low. So I can remove that because that's wrong. So we only got that like W, X, Y in here. Then we got like a W, X, Y, X, Z in here, giving us a bearish divergence in here. If I just zoom in a bit. So we got that W, X, Y, X2, and then the Z up, giving us that bearish divergence. Here we got a WX. We're in a wave Y down. More than likely, this will go and break that low now. Even though it's not a large enough correction, we can look at this as a complete bearish correction, as a complex correction. So more than likely this will go down and break that low. It's not something I'm going to be trading because it's not as large as that correction up here. So it's not sort of a thing that I can really trade that Z down until I get that larger correction. It's a little bit dangerous. Looking at the EU on the daily. So we got the A, B, C with the bearish divergence. Then I'm looking at A, B, C. Wave C had broken below the ending point of wave A. So like I've been saying, this can turn at any time. We like to see retracements after, especially when we get divergence. We like to see retracements at least back to the 50 fib. We haven't got anywhere near that 50 fib yet. On the H4, this count has changed too, because we're looking for that WXY. X2 or an X2 over here, and then the Z down. That Z down, if you go back through my weekly outlooks, it never went anywhere near that 123.6 and the 161.8. Like I said last week, we can look at this as an A, B, C, and we just get the WXY, and then the larger correction as this flat here. And you can look for that low to be broken. We had that bear hidden. No, sorry, we didn't have the bear hidden on this one. Yeah. So these are the targets for that, for this flat here. The 123.6 and the 161.8. If you're not in it, you'll have to wait for a correction on the H1. On the H1, we're looking at that. This was very deep, very deep correction. But we got that 1, 2, 3 in here. So we got that A, B, C in here. Then we got that W, X, Y. So really you need to wait for that X2 and then look for that Z down. You need to wait. More than likely, we don't know where this will end. I mean, you can trade flags. They're going to be risky because we had this large impulse down already. So it's going to be risky to trade the flags. You can trade them, but we don't know where this wave Y will end. Safest way is to wait for this X2 and then look for the Z down. GU, on the other hand, is a little bit different because we had the larger correction. And like I've been saying, as soon as that top was broken, said we'll get an A, B, C. I was looking at a running flat to start off with, and it turned into an expanding flat, which is fine. We're always going to go and break this top because this is a flat for more upside. So on the H4, again, we only got that WXY. Then we're looking at that as bear hidden, and we got that Z down. Then we're looking at this as a flat in here for the Z down. And this one went straight through both the targets. But we do have that bullish divergence here. And we have broken that top. I think last week we hadn't quite broken that top, so I said it was a little bit dangerous. But now we've broken that top. And we're getting a correction in here. We're getting a nice correction in here. You can only buy this. You can only look for the buy on this one. A little bit different to EU, you know, because EU is more of a sell, whereas this is a buy. We'd like to come back to this 50 fib. It can come back to this 50 fib or even the 61.8 retracement. But we've got this cross down here now, so we're getting a correction. So we're looking for that, at least that A, B, C. More than likely we'll go and break the top. So it's something you don't really want to miss, this in here. On the H1, it's the same. We got that, well, this is the buy in here. Like I said, when we were in here a couple of weeks back, I said, don't miss this trade here. And now we're getting this B wave in here. We're starting to get bullish divergence. So yeah, whatever happens in here, this can go on for a while. Whatever happens in here, wait for the trend line break, then a little flag, and then look for that buy. Only looking for the buy on this one. It should be a nice buy to go and break that top. And you, on the daily, we got that A, B, C. Still hadn't come down to that 100 fib. Like I was saying in here, this is still looking corrective. This one's a little bit harder because if we have a look at this on the H4, I've never really liked this. Never really liked this because we got that A and then we got 3 up. This one didn't come up to that 100 fib. Didn't quite get to that 100 fib. And then we got that C down, but we got the C down in 3. So that's why I've been saying for a long time, this is more likely hidden over and we're still in a B wave. Remove that. We look at this here. We got this. This is the largest correction in here. And even this here looks corrective. So all this looks corrective. So we got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we got a 333 pattern in here now as a complex correction. So more than likely now this is an A, end of B, and we should get that C down. Before it wasn't looking, I've just been saying stay out of it for a couple of weeks because it hasn't been clear. But now we can see the structure. Like you can see that we got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we have that a possible complete complex correction. So we can look for that downside, possibly down to this 100 fib on the daily, but it may even turn into more than that if we get target out. Okay. Now, your 100 fibs down here, close to the 123.6 on the daily. So we may get, possibly down to there. I'll be looking for the sell. We can see here that this is very choppy. Very deep correction in here. That's why I said last week, you have to be very careful with this, On the H1, we see we haven't got bearish divergence, so even this is risky. I'd be still staying out of it. I mean, I'm biased to the downside, but yet we still haven't got any bearish divergence. So looks like we're getting bull hidden here on the H1. So yeah, very risky. This can go up and break that top, then give us the bearish divergence, and then fall over. So yeah, you're still going to have to be very careful with the structure on this one before you trade it. Looking at the UY on the daily, this one's played out really rather nice. As soon as that top was broken over here, we were looking for this flat because this was so choppy. This wave in here was so choppy, so we're always looking for that B wave. Then we were looking for that C down. Last week, I think we hadn't quite, it wasn't quite long enough, this one here. It still was valid to go up and break that top, but it just didn't look right when we had a look on the H4. So we were looking for this wave up in here for an A, B, C. We got that, and then we were looking for downside. Now we have bullish divergence and a crossover. We didn't quite get down to this 100 fib. Not sure why I've got 2 there, but not matter. This is internal. But now I mean, this is really good now. We were looking for a little bit more upside in here for this little flat hit on here for the H1 to get that down. But now we've got that bullish divergence and we're broken out. If you get any correction or flag, look for the buy. On the H1, see, we were looking for a little bit more upside up here last week, and then another one down. I bought this, so I'm in the buy on this, and yeah, if you get any buy set up, look for the buy. And remove that, and remove that. The Swissy, nothing's really changed on the daily. We're looking at that A, B, C up in here. Still looking for that C up. This internal C up in here. Like I've been saying, this is looking very corrective. That's why we're looking for this structure here. A, B, C, A, B, C, before we get that larger A, B, C. In the H4, this went a little bit further than I thought it would. come down to 123.6. So now we have to be a little bit careful because we do have the possible bear hidden here. I'm in the buy on this as well. We got a nice little correction in here. But I'm only really looking for the buy. Like I said last week, this can go and break that low, and it's still going to be an A, B, C before we get the larger A, B, C. It's going to be a little bit harder now because we didn't have any bullish divergence. There's no, well, it's just one wave down in, and now we have the possible bear hidden. So there's nothing to say that this won't give us another one down. It can. And you can trade it. I mean, if you get a bearish setup, you can look for the sell to go and break that low. It's pretty risky, but because we are looking at the larger ABC on the H4. I'll be more inclined, if you get flags, to look for the buy, or even wait for a correction, wait for a larger correction. This wasn't a flag here, it was more of a correction, buy above the top, and you got that. So we've only got one wave up. So the safest way now is to wait for a correction, and then look for buy. Or like I said, if you're looking for that bear hidden, well, you'll have to wait for a bearish setup to go and look for that break of the low. I'm more interested in the buys because of the larger structure. Looking at the end of the B. Cable on the daily. Like I've been saying for ages, we've got that WXY, a possible X2 because we have that bear hidden. So there's nothing to say that this can't go down and give us that Z down. With that bear hidden, we haven't broken this top here, so it's still valid. Looking at the H4, we got this wave. We were looking for this wave up. It went past that 123.6, so it went a little bit too far, which made it more bullish. We had this nice sell in here, never got down to the 100 pip. Now we've broken out, so we can see that this is going to more than likely be a flat in here for the A large B wave, and then the C down for a running flat, go up and break that top. So I'm more interested in the buys, even though we've got this X2 here. More than likely this is the end, and we won't get that Z down. It is still possible, but this is looking, it's looking corrective. But if it was going to go, we're running out of time. On the time factor on the daily, we're running out of the time because we're only looking for a correction similar size to this, and we sort of got that in here. But if this is going to go up and break the top, well, it's going to take out the time factor, and that, we can't look at that as a Z down then. So I'll be more interested in the buy on this one. We've broken the trend line with bullish divergence on the H1. Got a nice correction. You got to break any little flag you get in here. Look for the buy, to go and break that top. GY on the daily. So like I said last week, we're looking for this we're looking for a correction a similar size to that, and we're looking at this here. Now this is a similar size. This here is a similar size to this here. So we're looking for that 123.6 and the 161.8 as our targets. You have a look. You have a look here. You can see that it's a very similar size. So where this one here ended, it ended here as well. So, you know, this can go up and break that top, go to our targets. Last week, it hadn't quite. Last week on the H4, I couldn't rule out this here, this flat as an A, B, C in here and go and break that low because we had that bear hidden. This top here still hasn't been broken over here. Hasn't quite been broken, so I couldn't rule out that Z down or a C down in here. Now that it's given this, it started to go and now it's gone straight back up. So it's more than likely that's we're not going to get that another one down because we had this we had bear hidden in here. We went and broke the low. Again in here, we had bear hidden that went and broke in the low. Like I said last week, we hadn't broken this, so there's nothing to say that this won't break the low, but now we've got this. You can see when it goes, when we get that bear hidden, it just goes. Like, well, this one gave a little correction here, but it gave a nice correction, whereas this has given a very deep correction. More than likely, this top will be broken, and this was just a correction, and then we get more upside. So I'm not looking for that C down now. More looking for the bite. This was very hard too because, you know, this was valid as a sell for that bear hidden and it never went, and we never got any bullish divergence on the H4. This one's broken the top here too now. Sorry about that, just had an interruption. Getting back to the H1 on GY, we got this correction in here. We didn't have any bullish divergence, so that's a problem. But we've taken out the bear hit. This top over here was broken, so you can look for buys. It's a little bit difficult now because it looks like you got a flag in here, and it's sort of looking bearish in here if we look on that M15. Yeah, see, we got bearish divergence on the M15. We got the bearish divergence, and we're getting a little bear flag in here. So you more than likely you'll have to wait for a larger correction in here before you look for that buy. EG, we're looking for this as an extended wave in here at WXY, X2, and then we're looking for that Z down. Your targets with that 123.6 and the 161.8. We've gone and broken that low now, so you don't really want to be getting into the sells now. Sorry about that, getting a lot of interruptions today. But getting on to EG on the H1, we have a trend line here now. It's quite sharp. So it may turn into a little flat here. But we do have bullish divergence already. So selling flags in here is quite risky. If you're looking for the sell, you really want one up here for a flat some sort of a larger flat and then look for the sell. Trading little flags in here is getting risky because we already have that bullish divergence. EY on the daily. This one here, we're still looking for the larger correction. We're looking for a correction a similar size to this. We already have the bearish divergence. We're looking for another larger correction over here. I don't think this is finished. We have to be careful though. We do have the bull hit. So this can go up and break the top. This isn't a large enough correction yet. So it's not a large enough correction, same size as this. So if it does go and break the top from here, well, it's internal. And then we'll be looking for the larger correction after it breaks the top, if that's the way it's going to play. On the H4, we got this WXY, then an A. I was looking at this as the B wave, and then we get that C up. It didn't come up to that 100 pip. I still am looking for more downside. I think we should get like an A, B, C. It's very difficult now though, because if we go down to the H1, we've already got that. We got this A, B, C. This only just went up, broke the top, and then fell over. I think we were in here somewhere last week, and we were looking for that short. It did go, but it never went and broke the low. Now it's giving some sort of a larger correction in here. It's me personally, I'll be staying out of this because it's not clear. This H4 never went up to the 100 fib, and it's fallen over. So this can be some sort of a larger correction. Like you get 1, 2, 3 up in here, and then one in here, 3 in here, and then another 3, like 1, 2, 3. So you get 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then go, or it falls over. It's just not clear, the structure. We never got that. Never got that real nice impulse. We got a nice impulse in here. Now we have that bear hidden. So more than likely this will break the low, and hopefully it does go and at least break this low, but it's a little bit risky for me to trade. You can look for that sell to go and break that low with that bear hidden, but yeah, I'll be staying out of it for now. Looking at the gold on the daily, nothing's really changed in this, except for we have this cross. We got this cross on the MACD here, only just cross, so it's not a game changer. But so we were looking for this WXY, X2, and then break the low for wave Z. Here's the targets, the 123.6 and the 161.8. These targets here were from the lower time frame. But for the daily, it's the 123.6 and the 161.8. We have that bear hidden, like I've been saying for, well, ever since we're over here, we're looking for this bear hidden to go and break that low. Nothing's changed. I'm still looking for that low to be broken. If you are in the sell, I'd be taking at least half off for that bear hidden. At least take half off at this low, because usually with the bear hidden, when we get such deep pullback like this, we just go and break that low, and then it'll shoot up on you. So I'd be taking the first profit at the break of this low, just at the break of that low, and then looking at these as your second targets. On H4, it didn't give a nice setup. Like I said last week, we're looking for that top to get broken. We never broke that top last week, and we still haven't broken that top. So we're looking at it as like a contracting flat, but you're never going to know with the contracting flat. It has fallen over, and we're looking for that to go and break the low. Very difficult to trade. Trading the contracting flats is, well, pretty risky in itself, especially after you get this. We got a very deep correction here, but there's no way I would have taken the break of this after getting such a deep correction. If you got this trade in here, there was a nice flag. I was looking at taking it, but I just couldn't risk it. But we did get a nice drop down. I was in other trades, so I didn't really worry about it. But you did get a nice drop there if you're looking for that C down. Now you're pretty much, you have to wait for a H1 correction. You got one down. You have to wait for another correction in here. Like you got a WXY. You're looking for the X2 and then the Z down. I wouldn't go selling flags in here. I'd be waiting for the correction. Give you more confidence of more downside. The WTI, this isn't, it was looking nice. We're looking for that A, B, C. We're looking for that C down in here. To come down and hit that 100 fib and bounce clean off, and we're looking for it to go and break the top again. It was looking nice, but then it's fallen over. Like I said last week on the H4, we're looking at this WXY, X2, and then the Z down because we have this bear hidden. Like I said last week, can't rule out that this goes and breaks that low. And that's pretty much what it's looking like it's going to do. I said for the buys, you really want to wait for this to be broken and then look for your buy setup. You know, if you're looking for this to be an ABC complete. But yeah, it's given that WXYZ, so we can remove all that. Because more than likely this will go and break that low. So the target will be for this is a 123.6 and the 161.8. But again, like gold on the daily, we got a very deep correction here. So I'd be taking half off at the break of this wave Y and then leaving these as your second targets. The 123.6 and the 161.8 as your second targets. Looking at the H1, I think you've missed the trade. Like it gave a really nice setup to sell just after last week's. We got this trend line break and we got this little flat here, like I said last week. This was your trade, you know. This was your trade in here to sell for that bear hidden. If you got that, you've done well. Hold it and, you know, first target, and maybe this is your second target or the 161.8. Bitcoin on the daily, nothing's changed on the daily really. We are looking for, you know, eventually this is an X2 and we get that Z up. Does it go from here? Well, it's possible now. I wasn't looking at it to go from here because we got such a large correction in here. Looking at the H4, we had this large, long drawn out correction in here. When we're in here on the weekly outlook, I said, don't miss this buy. If you trade this instrument, don't miss this. And it went up and hit both our targets, the 100 fib and the 161.8. During the week, I'll put this out. I think we're in here. We've just broken this trend line. We're in here somewhere. and I was looking for this as the first target on the H1. You got a bear setup in here, quite risky, but it did come down and hit that first target. I was sort of looking like a large correction like this in the X2, but it's just come straight down and bounced clean off, and then it's broken the top now. So I can remove all this. First target was hit. So I still will be looking. See, I don't think we got any bull hidden here. See, I'm pretty sure we didn't get any bull hidden here. We didn't quite get bull hidden divergence here. So it made it really hard. I could have sort of looked at this, some sort of larger flat in here. But it's still not going to fit. You know, if we're looking at this as a Z up, this is too large a correction. This is too small. So we've broken that top. Now, like on the H1, we've got that. Well, if you look, go back a few weeks ago, you'll see that I went on the weekly, and on the weekly we have this. It's clear as day, you know, what's going to happen eventually. We got that bull hidden. So perhaps we can start to look at that. This is going to go and break this top. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't sort of looking for it at this stage because we got such a large correction in here, but now this is looking rather impulsive. So you can sort of start to look at that as the low, as this here is the low, and we're going up from here. This may be an extended wave in here, but we might be able to look at it as an extended wave. Like that. ABC in wave Y, and then we get the X2 and then the Z up. So perhaps we can start to look at that, because this is a, like I said, it's not a large enough correction the same size as this. So we have to look at it as internal. Pretty much why this trend line here holds, you can look for buys. So if you do get any like bullish setups in here, you can look for that buy. You'll be targeting the 100 fib. So I'll just draw the 100 fib on here. So you'll be targeting the 100 fib for your first target, and then you could look at the 161.8 as your second target. But it's only buys. It's bullish. It's going to start to be risky because we will start to get bearish divergence, but I dare say we will get up to at least this 100 fib before it falls over. I mean, if you get in the buy, if you get a nice buy set up, look for the buy, get it to break even, and then if it starts to break the trend line, you know, you can start to and doesn't get to that 100 fib, well, you know, you might have to take a small hit, or yeah, or get out as soon as it starts to reverse on you. Just take a little bit of profit, but this is looking rather bullish. Looking at S&P on the daily, we're slowly climbing up to this 100 fib here. It's getting very close now. Definitely, if we start to get up to this 100 fib, we definitely want to start look for the sells. We're getting all this bearish divergence in here. Very risky to be buying up here. Like I said last week, you know, we had this big flat. I thought this might have been the top here, and we just fall over from here, but we got an expanding flat in here. So we're looking for that A, B, C. It still hasn't hit the target. oh, this wasn't the target here, but well, this was the H1 target here, but the larger H4 target was up here. It's nearly got to the 100 fib actually, so yeah, it's nearly hit the target, the H4 target. Looking at the H1 though, last week we were looking at this as the flat in here. It was looking really nice, and then we got this, another 3 down in here, went and broke the low. So most people would have got taken out of this, but that's trading. It was a more complex correction in here, but you're still looking at that 100 fib if you get the buys. You know, it's very risky to be buying now. We have all this bearish divergence, you know, it's very, very risky. But why this trend line here holds, why this trend line here holds, you can look for the buys. It's if you get little flags, you know, you can look for the buys, but they're only going to be scalps up this high. AU200, this is probably one of the better ones since I started doing this. You know, we went over the weekly, and it has a really nice structure on the weekly. So, you know, we're looking at this 100 pip on the weekly for an A, B, C. On the H, on the daily, sorry. We got to wait for a larger correction because we're starting to get all this bearish divergence. So eventually, whenever this is finished, we'll start to get that larger correction before we get more upside. On the H4, we had this nice flat in here we were looking at for an A, B, C. It's pretty much following the arrow up. So yeah, start looking for, well, it's probably a little bit too late to start buying. If you're in it, just hold it. You know, like I said, you know, I got in down here. I got in down here somewhere, but you had a nice flag in there. There was the larger correction in here last week. You could have brought above that top and, you know, got the rest of this. We're starting to get bearish divergence. So again, it's getting very risky to be buying up here. The trade's over, you know. The trade's not over, but you looking for buy setups is pretty much over. You can't, if you're looking to buy, it's only scalps. You know? You can only scalp it. So why this trend line here holds, you know, if you get bullish flags, well, you can look to scalp them. Just get in and get in and get out and take your profit. The DAX on the daily. So like I said last week on the daily, we got all this bearish divergence, but this is looking very bullish. Like this is looking very corrective for more upside. Nearly at that 100 fib. We got this. Got this A, B, C in here. That actually went further than I thought. We're just looking for that 100 fib. Went just below that 123.6, but I'm sort of looking just as that A, B, C. We got the 5 up and then more upside. Last week it was difficult because we had that possible bear hidden. I think it was this one that we had the bear hidden. Oh, maybe it wasn't this one. No, it wasn't. Yeah. So we had this nice up here, and we're looking at A, B, C in here. And yeah, so you could have, it wasn't the best. Oh, this one had the contracting flat. Yeah, this one had the contracting flat in here. So that's why it was a little bit risky. It wasn't the bear hidden, it was a contracting flat. So we got a A, B. We're getting a C up with bearish divergence now. Was a little bit riskier, this one, because we did have that that contracting flat. Makes it a little bit more difficult to trade. Again, pretty much the same as the others. If you're looking for the buys, you can scalp. They're only scalps. Why this trend line holds. As soon as if you get a break, wherever this ends, get a break of the trend line and a bearish setup. This is what you don't want to miss. You don't want to miss that sell, because these will be coming to an end. They're starting to get to the 100 pips on the daily. So, looking at the FTSE on the daily, again, this is pretty much similar. I was looking for this A, B, C. We got a C down. It never come anywhere near that 100 pip, which is quite disappointing if you do trade this, because you want that nice impulse down and then a bullish setup to give you that risk reward. It didn't really come down very far, but we're looking for that, like W, X, Y, X, and that Z up. Maybe we're in that, like W, X, Y, X2, and we're looking for that Z up to finish off possibly the weekly X2. So now it's a little bit harder. I think this one might have had the bear hidden last week. Yeah, I think this one had the bear hidden last week. So it was a little bit difficult because we never broke above that top, and we had that bear hidden in here somewhere, wherever we were. So yeah, it made it difficult to trade. But like I said last week, more than likely looking at the other indices, more than likely will go up, but it's very risky because you do have that possible bear hidden. We have broken above that now. We have taken this out, taken that possible bear hidden out now. So you really want to wait. After you take that bear hidden out, you want to wait for the correction, and then not a flag. You want to wait for the correction. Because on H1, I dare say we would have bear divergence. Yeah, H1, we've got a lot of bearish divergence. This is something you don't want to be buying into. You really want to wait for a H4 correction now. Going back to the H4. So you really want to wait for that H4 correction. And like I say, for the correction, you really want that 50 fib retracement. Or at least that 38.2. Whatever happens in here, you want that H4 correction and then look for the buy for more upside. We're starting, well, we did bounce off that 100 fib on the weekly, so it's getting to a top on the H1. You don't really want to be buying. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be trading this. Me personally, I wouldn't be trading. There's just way too much bearish divergence. It's too risky for me to I mean, you can, but if you take these, you got to get in and get out. You got to take your profit pretty much. It's any spike up, take your profit, and then look for another setup, because it's just going to go like deep correction, break the top correction, break the top correction, break the top correction, and eventually it's going to fall over and then give you a sell setup. The sell setup's what you don't want to miss. So I hope you enjoyed the weekly outlook this week. Trade safe, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.